And Martin, how lovely to have you on the show. And what an interesting week to be commenting on the goings-on.
Indeed, Vanessa. You wouldn't have imagined this would happen, and I certainly didn't, but I am appalled by it.
And when you say appalled, where is the kind of well of your anger and shock and repugnance centred? What is it that appalls you most?
It concentrates on one man's judgment in relation to another man who over and over again had proved untrustworthy. I well remember him appearing before us on the Standards and Privileges Committee. It was very uncomfortable. It was a session that resulted in him being dismissed from the cabinet, and here we are again. On top of that, I think we have to wait till we know the gravity of it for the documents that have not yet been published, because clearly, as we've just been hearing, the Prime Minister was warned by many people. Why did he not heed those warnings? Why was it so desperate to get on the right side of Donald Trump? The documents are not all in the public domain yet.
When Keir Starmer addressed Parliament this week and also gave that press conference, and he appeared to be veritably bristling with fury and indignation and righteous affront, didn't he? And the mood that he was trying to create was, this was done unto me. I knew nothing about this. I asked Lord Mandelson. He said, yeah, they were very slight acquaintances. They barely knew each other. When pressed by Kemi Badenoch, he had to say that he knew perfectly well that he'd carried on Mandelson being chums with Epstein even after his conviction and served prison term. However, he still attempted, or at least did his utmost, to look aggrieved and horrified and, thunderstruck, didn't he?
I think he was partly angry with himself. This is yet another self-inflicted blow. It's an unforced error. It didn't have to happen, and as we heard a moment ago, he had many warnings about this appointment. It was full of red flags being waved. He should have, and I think some of the anger in the last 2 days was actually directed at himself.
And people are asking now, can he recover from this, or has this deflated his reputation so fatally that there's no recovery possible?
I see no recovery. It's a matter of judgment in which just about the whole country is united. It's very difficult to find any defenders of Peter Mandelson and any defenders of this lack of judgment. I think, we'll have to see this play out, but I think as leader and Prime Minister, I think this is a terminal blow.
And obviously the Mandelson permutations and ramifications are so incredibly complicated and seem at the moment almost infinite, because we know there are 2 Eiffel Towers high of information still to be sifted through. But it seems more than just a man who wasn't trustworthy, more than just a man who was self-serving, more than just a man who was wildly attracted to power and money and sex, but also a man with no moral core in terms of loyalty to his country, loyalty to his party, loyalty to Great Britain, or at least that's how it's beginning to appear, isn't it?
It certainly is. It goes a long way back. He is who he is, and he was who he was. And he had a reputation for being untrustworthy. The last man in the world you would appoint to a position of influence, such as being ambassador in Washington. A terrible mistake.
And when memos arrive, like the one from Maurice Glassman saying, do not do this, repeat, do not do this, attached to a dossier with all sorts of information in it, then what would you say is the kind of method or procedure by which something as red alert, do not, repeat, do not, how does that get pushed aside or ignored, something like that, a warning so serious?
I think we have to ask ourselves about the processes inside Downing Street, whether a dossier like this one actually gets the attention it receives. Who is the gatekeeper? Who ensures that this document rather than that document, especially a document as incriminating as this, with all these evidences and past instances, that has to get to the Prime Minister's eyes. If it doesn't, he's being very badly served.
And Martin, I've been asking the Times poll question, which is this Labour government as sleazy as the last Tory government? If you were answering that question, what would you say?
I would say it's sleazy in entirely different ways. We're talking about the Tory years. It was a series of MPs whose judgment was severely lacking, as if there was almost a pattern. This is one incident, but one very serious incident, and one man's judgment, and that man happens to be the head of our government.
Thank you very much indeed for joining me. That's Micheal Bell, OBE. Let's talk to Narinder Kaur about this, the broadcaster and social commentator. Hello, Narinder. Thanks so much for joining me. So this is, people are saying potentially terminal for Keir Starmer. Is there any coming back from this? Watching it from your vantage point, what do you think?
Well, look, I hold no torch for Keir Starmer. I think he's made a huge mistake. And this is a political scandal of huge mammoth amounts. However, if we're going to talk about are they sleazier than Tories, I think the right wing have got very short memories. Let me just remind you, I've got a list here, because Boris Johnson had a cascade of scandals. Partygate, where people died alone, people went to funerals alone while Parliament basically partied. Misleading Parliament. The Owen Paterson scandal, the Chris Pincher scandal, the PPE scandal, the Matt Hancock scandal, proroguing of Parliament, where he implicated the late Queen. I could go on and on and on. And I think that Keir Starmer has made a huge mistake here. But this is one mistake. Are we as a country, do we need to keep having new prime ministers? Or do we let Keir Starmer ride this out, as Gordon Brown said this morning? And he's a man of integrity. Will he clear out the sleaze? He has made a mistake. I'm not going to deny it. But is it a cascade of scandals like Boris Johnson? No.
But I just wonder, in your own social circle, because you have to, in the end, you're looking at the macrocosm. You have to reduce it to the microcosm. What would I do in my own house, with my own family, with my own daughters, with my own mother, with my own family, the people I love, the people I care about? And if you're looking at it that way, imagine somebody in your circle twice publicly, embroiled in a scandal, and then admits to continuing to be friendly with a man convicted and imprisoned for sexually procuring a minor. So you know the cut of this guy's jib. It's not like you didn't realise. You thought he was an absolutely, straight down the line, a terrific guy, a bang up, trustworthy chap, and everyone always said so. So you can genuinely be shocked because you just didn't know. Nobody ever knew. Everyone always said you could believe every word he said. That's not the case here at all. So you think it may be it's too much protestation of he lied to me, I was lied to, when what the heck did you think was going to happen?
He wasn't called the Prince of Darkness for nothing, let's be honest. And you're spot on, Vanessa. I can't argue those points. Because if someone's warned you and warned you and warned you, I think he was so desperate, Starmer, to be, get on Trump's good side. He appointed Mandelson. That's clear. But this is one huge mistake. As I said, this isn't scandal after scandal. Keir Starmer has been, and like I said, I hold no torch. He's been disappointing as a leader. But has he been, a tsunami of scandals? No, actually, he's been consistent.
But what about what Lord Glassman said? Morris Glassman said that people had said to him in the last week alone, the brutal truth is the vast majority of people I met consider our Labour government to be a front organisation for paedophiles and Pakistani rape gangs. Wow. They consider our position on the Chagos Islands an example of progressive idiocy, and our appointment of Peter Mandelson an unnecessary provocation. Several people showed me a photograph of him blowing out the birthday candles with Jeffrey Epstein. They think our army has gone to hell. Our country is overwhelmed by legal and illegal migrants. I wonder whether if I went to stand outside in Leicester Square and just read that to people, whether they'd say, yes, that is exactly what we think of the Labour Party, or whether they'd think Lord Glassman, who's a Labour grandee, is a Labour peer, is exaggerating, has got it wrong, I don't know.
I'd say a lot of those problems came from the Tory government. If you're talking of illegal immigrants and immigrants, that came all under the Boris Johnson government. So a lot of those problems were as a result of the Tory government. However, I think Keir Starmer has, they've had record-breaking returns of illegal immigrants. They have got on top of a lot of things, house building, free breakfast clubs, employers' rights. Keir Starmer's getting the job done slowly but surely. Is he going to survive this, Vanessa? I'm not sure. What I think personally, just my personal point of view, I can't see another Prime Minister and another Prime Minister and another Prime Minister. Are they allowed to make mistakes and learn from these mistakes? As Gordon Brown said, and I respect Gordon Brown's opinion, Keir Starmer is a man of integrity. He's made a huge mistake. And let's not forget, and this is the important bit, Keir Starmer's not actually named in the Epstein list. Farage is named in the Epstein list 43 times and counting, but no one has questioned Nigel Farage.
Excellent point, and very well made, Narinder. Good to have you on the programme. Thank you very much. Excellent point.